So, got inspired by a video that Adrian Thomas sent me, and I was gonna do a video about this, but just what he sent me, icing on the cake, really. He sent me a video, a TikTok video, and I'll have to remember to link it in the description. Don Calypso, I'm sure you will chat me on that if I don't. Shout out to you as well, brother. And shout out to Black Mind as well, and what he's doing and what he's putting together. Definitely go ahead and check out his channel. I like what he's doing in terms of trying to start a business with like a translation company, which is really cool, or like a group of translators. So that's really cool. But so Adrian Thomas sent me this video about like black women or black mothers and how they mistreat their daughters. Lady said hate in the video. Mistreat their daughters on to the point where they hate their daughters, and how they treat their sons a little bit better for one reason or another. And that's definitely true. That's definitely true even in my life. I've had numerous conversations with my sister about it, and how my mom would treat her in so many different ways. And you know, how she's hurt and still a little bit hurt. I wouldn't say over it, but you know, what's done is done. Once the scar is there, the trauma is there, you treat people differently based on how they treated you, you know, like treated in past. But one thing that was cool with Adrian, let me put this shit here. Oh, by the way, like this concrete pad, hopefully they'll start next week, and hopefully they'll get it finished next week, man. But there's a new crew doing it to get this sucker finished out. The last guy had some problems with him. So anyways, so that'll get done, and hopefully I can get all this shit out of the way by November at this rate. But in the TikTok video, the woman talked about, like, you know, how black women mistreat, or black mothers mistreat their daughters because their daughters are seen as not just competition, but hey, you're the reason why I don't look as beautiful as I used to, blah, 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 right? Not really feeling motherly, just like looking at you as if you're not just a burden, but you're the reason why, like, instead of like blaming Jermaine, like you're blaming Jermaine's daughter type shit, right? But that was part of, like, you know, what pushed me to make this video. And I wanted to add that because on the other side of it, I got a call from my nephew last night. Love my nephew. Love him to death, to life. Love my nephew, right? And with him, and I always think about him in moves that I make and financial decisions, things like that. But with him, he just ended up calling me because of an issue that his friend is going through. And he just wanted to thank me for being there for him. And, you know, I was always there. But there was like 4 years where I pretty much had to take care of him along with my mom. Like, me and my mom took care of him. Lived under my mom's roof and everything. And then the both of us did what we could. And mostly, you know, I was the one that was like, hey, always making sure everything was straight, and then communicating with my sister while she was dealing with what she had to deal with, which wasn't like nothing bad. It was just, you know, she was trying to get certain things in her life together, financially, with a house, you know. So, and you know, she was better for it, for sure. And she's done well, and I'm really glad for her because of it, because, you know, what it also does for my nephew. And she was able to, you know, take him like the last 2 years for high school and stuff. So she asked me, it wasn't like she dropped him off or none of that stuff. There are some things where, you know, things that we talk about in the space that I won't talk about. I love my sister, I really do. It's just, you know, just some things I've always, as I've already said. And I've said the same thing about my mom too. Like, hey, listen, I love her, but, you know, you don't always have to like a person. But he called me and he said, he's like, yo, Uncle Mike, you know, really appreciate you, you know, love you, big dog. And I fucking fell asleep on his ass. Like, I fucking fell asleep on him. I felt so bad. Oh, my chuggy. I fell asleep. I was too tired last night. But he, you know, it was great that, you know, it was great to hear that, right? To like, wow, like a sense of almost like a accomplishment. Like, I did something, like something of note, you know, like, wow, this wasn't just, okay, I did this shit and, you know, go forth, little nigga, you know, that type of shit. It was just like, all right, man, hey, here's the things that, you know, instilling in him values, thoughts, and everything else. And, you know, he's in the Army now, and, you know, he's watching his friend go through a situation, and he's not like that. He's not in that same position. And he really had to think about, like, you know, he hears some of the things that some of these women say during pillow talk. And it's just like, man, you just don't realize how many kids are out here having traumatic experiences in their life, where, like, his traumatic experience would be running him out the door and whooping his ass, and then saying, all right, be safe, love you, before he even fucking gets on the block and shit. And he's just like, okay, and kind of like laughing the shit off a little bit, you know? And it's just like even just beating him, man. Like, there were, like, I always kind of pulled punches, but what I would do is, it's not the hit from the belt that hurts, or from the belt, the hand, the ruler, the hanger, whatever, right? And yes, you know, like, he get fucking not hit with, I think I used to get hit with a wire hanger back in the day, but it's not the hit from the belt that hurts. It's the fear that you instill in the child that makes them think that the hit from the belt hurts. And it doesn't really hurt. Like for instance, if you're a person that, you know, benches 3 something or 4 something, 5 something, yo, or even a boxer, or you're athletic, you play basketball, like, yo, listen, if you hit somebody, they gonna fucking feel it. Even if it's not even a professional polished punch or anything like that, they're going to fucking feel it. Like, it's going to hurt. So if a child doesn't come out, the vehicle, okay. If a child doesn't come out of that situation, do not leave people or animals in the vehicle. All right, get that out of here. If a child doesn't feel that shit, or doesn't get bruised from that stuff, you're pretty much holding back, is the point I'm making. And I told him, he's like, yeah, you know, that is true. Like, we were talking, he's like, yeah, you know, it was really just getting scared of getting hit. Like, it's not like you couldn't recover from it. It's not like I couldn't beat him 1 second, like, in the car, and then walk in the store with him. You know, all you would see, like, noticeable on him would be him and his face, where he's just like, he just stopped crying or some shit. But it's not like I hit him so fucking hard that he's in pain and he's limping and shit around the store or something like that. Or, like, he has a tender spot for, like, where it creates a bruise, right? Because at that point, and BGS always says it, I never beat my kids or disciplined them while I was angry. I never beat them out of anger. And I never did it too. I never did it often. Like, if I was really angry at my nephew, I'd be like, I'd give him 1 or 2 hits, but I'd have to stop. Because after a while, like, yeah, that shit's gonna be abuse. Like, that shit's going to fucking hurt. Like, bitch, I'm taking you the fuck out. Like, that type of shit. So, and you don't want to do that, right? Like, what does that do for you? Like, what does that do for you? What does that do for him? What does that do for the child in the long run? And this goes back to the original part of the video that I mentioned, where this chick talks on TikTok about how these, like, you know, these women hate their daughters, and, like, how they treat their son a little bit better. Or in some cases, they hate their son because it looks like they look like their daddy. Essentially, they just hate their own offspring because their offspring is just a manifestation of their poor choices in life. Whether they feel that kid is a blessing or not, or whether that kid is a blessing or not to them even later on in life, I should say, they feel that, you know, or they look at that. I'll have to merge that. I accidentally played the freaking music on my car. But, you know, whether they think this child is a burden or not, they what's it called? They look at this child as a manifestation of their poor choices in life, right? And it's just like, well, you know, whether that kid is a poor choice, you know, that remains to be seen in terms of how they turn out, what they do. You know, your child could be a Deion Sanders, so to speak, but even Deion Sanders had a really good stepdad that he always talked about, or that he talked about. You know, his mom's still alive and everything else. So it's like, when I hear this type of stuff, man, and I see this type of shit, or I see this this TikTok, and I'm like, wow, you know, that's actually, I've seen that in my own life. But then even to get a call from my nephew last night, and it was crazy because I was telling him, I was like, bro, it was not even really an hour ago, I was just thinking about you. And, you know, asking, I told myself, I was like, who is my nephew? I don't know him anymore. And not because to guilt trip him into calling me. And I told him this. I was like, it's not on a guilt trip shit. It's just that you're 20 something years old. You're 22 years old. I don't know who you are. I don't even know who you're fucking. Like, you know, you don't bring no women around me. You don't come here for Thanksgiving or any of that other shit. Like, I don't, like, what is, like, I don't see, like, who are you, you know, like, it's like he could have changed his hair. If he doesn't send a picture for a couple of years, he could change his hair. He can lose weight, gain weight. He can gain muscle, all types of shit. You wouldn't know. I don't know who you are even as a person. You know, what are your traits? What are your behaviors? What are the things that you do? What are the things that you picked up from me, your grandfather, your uncle, your mom, your grandmother? Like, what did you pick up from your family members? You know, like, you know, what's going on in your life? What are the happenings and all this other shit? It's like, I don't know who you are. And as I was like, man, I really wanted to talk to you about that, to really talk to, say, and ask you, who are you now, man? Like, tell me about yourself. Tell me what's going on. Tell me, you know, tell me who I used to know as Chuggy, you know, like, tell me that. And I think that's like, I think that's something that we should all do, especially as men, as our kids grow up. We should understand, this is something that I've always disliked about my mom. And one thing that my dad does very well, she does not respect or even treat us as adults. We're just her children, right? And that's the motherly aspect, but it gets annoying because that could be quote unquote toxic, right? Because it's like, hey, you're not looking at me as an adult, and that gets on my fucking nerves. Like, yo, I'm a whole fucking adult out here. Like, I'm fucking these bitches raw. I'm just playing, not all of them, but you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm out here fucking, Mom. I'm out here fucking, and you know I'm fucking, because I showed you that one video, and I won't get into that. But, who am I, and do you even respect me? And I've always told my mom, you always have these conversations, you always have conversations, but they're never really about me. Like, you never have conversations about me to me. And it's not on an ego thing. Actually, it is ego, right? And I don't mean like ego, I mean ego in terms of like egotistical, the negative side. It's really all about your ego and validation. I would admit that. But it's just like, yo, listen, you don't even, I mean, my mom, you know, get a car or do something in my life or what have you. She'll definitely say, hey, listen, I'm proud of you. Good job, so on and so forth. My mom also has this thing where she'll hug you. She'll hug you, and then she doesn't really look at you, but she'll hug you, and then she'll kind of look away as she's moving away. So, you know how if you ever, and that's something I've always noticed. It was really weird. You ever hug somebody, and then when you hug them, especially if there is a term of endearment, or not a term of endearment, but like an endearing emotional connection of some sort, you look them in the eye, like, damn, man, I miss you. How's everything going? You look them in their face. You're looking at their mouth as they're talking, their lips and everything else like that. My mom will say, oh my God, I am so proud of you. Hug me, and then look away, which is just kind of like, huh. I've always seen that. I don't know if that could be one of those things where if you talk to a therapist, you're like, how does that make you feel? You know, that type of shit. And it's just like, oh, okay. So that's something that I have definitely noticed. But it's just so much in that TikTok video. And then my nephew, you know, hitting me up and saying, hey, listen, thank you for being a father figure, because I see what it's like for, you know, other dudes and the decisions that they make with women. Because my nephew, you know, when I had him, he was listening. Bro, one of the reasons why I was on BGS's panels back in 2017, 2017 is 2 years. Yeah, it was like 2017, right? Was because of my nephew. Like, listening to BGS, saw one of his panels, and one of the subjects was talking about my nephew and what I should do in terms of raising him and everything else. And also like saying, hey, listen, man, you know, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm thinking, so on and so forth. Actually, no, that wasn't one of the first things. That was later on. That was like closer to 20. No, that was 27. Yeah, that was 2017, because my nephew left. He did 2018 and 2019 at another school, another high school by then. And I knew BGS 2015 in the black space. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I came to like the black MGTOW, you know, Black Ram 313, a little bit of Obsidian, not too much, but mostly like BGS around that time. In 2017, I was going through it with my nephew, where he just wouldn't listen. And I was like, listen, I'm going to go send you to be with your fucking mom, because you're not going to do this shit and just get away with it. You're not going to have, you know, you're not going to have all your same friends and shit like that. And this shit just be fucking cool. Like, it's just not. So, that was one thing that happened. But, you know, he talked to me about it, and I'll finish up with this. He talked to me about it, and he was like, thank you for, you know, not, you know, being easy on me, being hard on me, like telling me, like, you know, when I'm fucking up, and then how I could get better. And also, you know, not just being, how would you say it? Not just being easy on him, showing him there are consequences for your actions, because now he sees it. When a person just like, you know, goes about their life and they don't have they have like no consequences, or they don't have any understanding for their consequences, or of consequences for their actions, and you know, think about the decisions that they're making. Excuse me. Now they're like, oh, I didn't know that was gonna happen, or, you know, I can't believe she did this to me. And it's just like, dude, yeah, she did that to you, because you did this to her. And, you know, you can't be out here mistreating another human being. At the end of the day, that's a human being. Like, they have fucking feelings. And in fact, they're the more emotional side of the human being, of human beings. Like, you can't just do that and just, quote unquote, think you're going to get away or get out without actually, like, you know, paying for that, in a sense, right? Especially with the way women act nowadays. So it's like, when you see all this type of stuff, man, and, like, you know, I'm talking with him about it, it's actually quite amazing, man, like, just to hear that. And I was like, wow, thank you. I appreciate that, you know, that validation, that report card, so to speak. But more so, I appreciate the fact that you understand what I was trying to do. I didn't totally understand what I was trying to do. I was following my own father and the model that he set forth, or the template that he put down. But you understood I wasn't just doing it and the way I did it, and you picked up one or two things in terms of the way you talk, and also how you think about, you know, certain things that you're doing, or certain scenarios that you're in. And I really appreciated that. And I thought that was like, that was, yeah, that meant a lot. That meant a whole lot. And, you know, I think that's one thing that we definitely should do, even if it's, you know, for our blood relatives and stuff like that, being there for them in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And like, one thing that I'll leave with this, one thing that I think that was like probably the most powerful and the most, like, the biggest thing, he said, I never felt like I had that void in me. You know how the usual cliche of, you know, my dad's not here and all this other stuff. He's like, I never felt that void. And I was like, whoa, that's wow. Like, you know, that's probably gonna hit me later on this weekend or whatever. But that's crazy. And if you could provide or be there for somebody in that way, I mean, honestly, bro, better than just better, plain and simple, just better. All right, with that being said, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you all. Love you. Bye. Good night.